Welcome to Amazing You podcast and YouTube channels, the channels where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And if this is your first time, welcome to the channel. Please share, watch, and subscribe. And for those who've been supporting the channel for the past 4 years, huge thank you to you and thank you for being so faithful. So, this is the channel where in each episode we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads on and emerge victorious. Our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And whether you are dealing with health challenges, professional setbacks, or personal struggles, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there is a path to hope and triumph. So join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity and reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So please be prepared to be inspired and to find the strength to navigate life challenges. I am your host. My name is Dr. Rani Thanacoody. I am a breathwork coach. I am a clinical hypnotherapist using rapid transformational therapy method. I am a Mars Venus life and relationship coach, astrologer, tarot reader, past life regression practitioner, and life force compassion practitioner. And today, I am super excited to introduce you to my very special guest. Her name is Cara Marino. Cara is a female owner of a small business called Green Enchantments. Cara is also an occupational therapist and a certified holistic herbalist. She creates 100% handmade herbal medicines to promote quality of life from the physical, emotional, and spiritual concepts of health and wellness. Very warm welcome, Cara, to Amazing You.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be speaking with you today, as well as speaking out to the community that will be listening to me.
Thank you, Cara, for taking your time to share your wisdom and to be here on the channel. I'm very grateful for you.
I am very grateful for you.
And thank you. And my first question, Cara, can you please tell us what inspired you to start Green Enchantments?
So for me, as originally stated, I am an occupational therapist first and foremost, and health and wellness has always been a focus of mine because I was born into this world with medical deficits. I had open heart surgery when I was 4. I had an occupational therapist teach me how to walk, how to get out of bed, to toilet myself. And then that's what grew my path into who I am today. But what facilitated the business was the traumas of COVID. As many uh, practitioners know from the traumas of COVID, we dealt with a scenario where we felt so lost in the system of what is it that we can do to benefit our patients that are suffering from COVID and all the ones that are isolated, because I specialize in skilled nursing, so my older adult population. And it got to the point where there was so much negative energy, and I was getting into a really bad, dark space. I was suffering from suicidal ideations. And when I had to unfortunately watch one of my patients pass away from the window because we were not allowed back to the aggressive section of COVID, I fractured essentially, like my entire being of who I am just fractured. And thank goodness I had good friends, but they kept me in the forefront of you're doing everything you can, you know, this is so out of your control, but my mind goes, but I'm an occupational therapist. I'm supposed to fix people. They're supposed to be smiling and feel like family and go home. And there's people dying left and right. And I didn't want to be here anymore. But Green Enchantments emerged from the fires of my depression and suicide. I went on a very spiritual journey and going, there's got to be more to what I'm not used to seeing, what I'm so consumed in within the Western medicine system. And this is where I ended up discovering herbal medicine through Rosemary Gladstar. She had an online schooling, and literally, it was funny because it was a Reiki teacher talking to me. And it's so interesting how it just got brought up because I'm like, plants, I don't do plants. Everything I touch, it dies. But my spiritual self came to the forefront, and it literally felt like I got smacked in the back of the head. And I went home that night, signed up into the introductory course, and the rest was history because I've realized we have gotten so far away from our rooted sense of self and health and wellness that this is why we're struggling with coping with diseases and illnesses. And then Green Enchantments was inspired with the notion of, okay, I have my herbal certification, but what the heck do I do with this now? And I really sat down and realized that occupational therapy is in itself a holistic practice because my job is to not look at the person based on their disease, illness, or injury. You have a hip fracture, my brain goes, okay, so this is how we modify and adapt your independence to become functional. So you can get out of bed, so you can go to the bathroom, so that way you can feed yourself. Herbal medicine is exactly the same way. Herbal medicine helps our bodies adapt and condition to what is happening in order for our bodies to respond in a positive manner to fight off or deal with or progress from the situation that's happening, whether it's pain management, poor sleeping patterns, depression and anxiety, feeling nervous and anxious and agitated. So they're very much hand in hand with each other. So I've created this therapeutic perspective to guide herbal medicine to meet people's needs. And those needs can be anywhere and everywhere because herbs come from the basic preventative measure. You don't need to have an issue to begin implementing healthier lifestyles.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Cara, for sharing your journey. It wasn't an easy one. As a child, you experienced heart issue, and then not long time ago, you experienced suicidal ideation and then depression, and that led you to start your business. I am really curious to know, how did you overcome that depression or suicidal ideation? Because many people might be listening to us and being in a very depressed state and not knowing what to do. How did you overcome that? How did you?
The biggest reason people have a hard time coming out of it is because they remain silent.
Mm.
It's so hard to talk about it, but you need to talk about it, whether it's with finding a therapist or for my instance, the only reason I met this Reiki teacher was because my best friend knew I was going through something without me saying anything yet and said, you need to come out of the house because the environment you're in is not letting you talk to me. So why don't we go out and talk? And that's the thing. It's just find someone, anyone, a friend, a family member, you never know, a coworker could know what you're going through, of just letting someone know, hey, I am in such a bad headspace and I need someone to help me hold myself accountable because I don't want to feel this way. This feeling is so scary because of I'm so willing to actually take the jump of ending my life. And it's a horrible feeling. It feels like you're drowning, like you can't breathe, like you can't think, you can't focus. Um, and then it's also the concept of I find something spiritual for you that's grounding. I am a pagan witch, and so talking with myself and talking with my higher self and reaching out to family members no longer with me, like my grandparents, that tie is what kept me grounded because I know that that's not what they wanted for me to feel. And I could feel them pushing me, like hands were guiding me and pushing me to be like, go, this is where you're meant to be. This is who you need to surround yourself with. And this is where your career needs to go next because you're finally finding the right steps because you're talking about those hard emotions.
Wow, I think that's very brave, to when you are in that depressed state to ask for help. So many people they are so drowned in that state. They are so in that dark hole that even if there's help out there, they don't even want to listen. It's like I have met people like that, and they they don't want to listen to anybody. What would you say if somebody is in that space? Because you were willing to listen, you were willing to go along with your friend to take that step. But there are some people who are so scared even of getting out of their room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what can they do, you think, to help them to take that first step?
If you are that sick of
Yeah.
feeling that negative emotion, you are not gonna grow from being in a state of comfort. You have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation if you want to open doors to lead to change. And it's scary and it's terrifying and it's overwhelming because you think you're going to feel like you're a burden, that you're a problem, that you're faking it. But when you keep putting yourself in that uncomfortable situation, something is going to finally give to let you know, hey, someone is listening and someone is caring enough about you. And it's also the thing of it is scary to go see a therapist in person. Use the online resources. Like, oh my gosh, I did that my while going through my herbal schooling just to keep me in check was using online resources of having someone available to talk to that wasn't friends or family, was a neutral party that had no emotions tied to me because they can't judge you. They can't have those certain emotions you're so afraid of. And again, it gives you that safety of if you're not comfortable leaving your room to talk to someone, there's online chats. So you can talk with that counselor online without needing to leave that safety, that box you're in. But you have to take that first uncomfortable step, whether you like it or not. Otherwise, you're just, misery loves company and you're going to stay in that position.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. That is so true. Because you can stay in that position for months, years, and decades if you do not take that first step. So it's because it's your life and you have the power to do what you do. You can paint your own story. You can paint a dark story or you can paint a bright story.
Yes.
And that's what you did, and that's what it led you. It's so beautiful to see that. And every person that I have talked who have been through some struggles and they had the courage to step into the unknown, that's where their greatest opportunities appeared and came to them. It's beautiful. Yeah.
I always joke of I always think back to my friend who was there doing her own tarot card readings and she was getting super duper frustrated. And I said, what? And she goes, the universe isn't giving me the answer I want. And I looked at them and I said, it's because you haven't taken a step in any direction of choice. You have these three options, but you actually haven't decided which one. So the universe can't send you any more signs when you have locked yourself in a stagnant frequency.
Yes, that is so true. We do lock ourselves in the biggest prison. We don't need to go to prison to be in prison, but the biggest prison is our mind.
Yes.
We lock ourselves, we tie ourselves there, and then we don't know how to unlock ourselves back again.
We are our own worst enemies. And
Yeah,
that's what makes us human, though. That is what the beauty of what makes us human is the fact that these tangible emotions can affect us so greatly, but it's the concept of, okay, what's the action next to do with that?
yes, because any of those emotions that are surfacing, whether feeling depressed, anger, is just here as a catalyst for you to release it so that you can experience even a greater life after that, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's have a chat a bit about your business, Cara. So can you tell us a bit more what goes into creating your 100% handmade herbal medicines? Because you are not like other herbalists, you create your own. So tell us more about that.
Yes, so I do consultation based because that's where the therapist side of me comes in of, okay, you tell me that you're not sleeping well. I'm not just going to recommend you a random herbal medicine because the problem is most people don't understand just because it's herbal doesn't mean it's exactly safe for you. There are contraindications and precautions to herbs, especially if you're taking modern medicine. Um, so my goal is first assessing who you are, what you do, your lifestyle, your diet, your routine. I literally want to know the ins and outs of your daily performance so that way I can see in the gray areas of what could be eliciting the specific issues you're telling me about with your health and wellness. I then, based on your primary health goals and secondary health goals, I create handmade herbal medicine. So I make my own tinctures, I make my own salves or balms, whichever you choose to call them. I created herbal respiratory salts to really get into the respiratory tract, which is really good for people with asthma and allergies because your first line of defense is your nose. And a lot of people forget that. So when you take an oral medicine, this is why you're still suffering. Um, I create hair and skincare type of aspects because your hair and your skin are the second and third quickest way for medicine to be utilized by the body right away. So I take all of those components of the person to then create, okay, let's focus on the lack of sleep. And then let's also focus on the fact that maybe you're not getting enough nutritional needs. So we make a nutrient dense bitter tincture to help your digestive tract because your digestive tract and your nervous system are sister systems. So they're constantly communicating and why a lot of people have a lot of these health and wellness issues, digestion, nervousness, agitation, things of that nature. And I give them like a month's supply because my goal is for you to hold yourself accountable. You want change, therefore you need to be the facilitator. I'm just the cheerleader in the back giving you all the tools. And based on your response, we either change the herbal medicine because you're not seeing certain effects, it's maybe not potent enough for you, such as, for instance, I only use valerian root when it comes to sleep disturbances if it's really difficult insomnia. But valerian root is 1% stimulating for the population. So my goal goes, let's try the most benign before I potentially give you a stimulant because you won't know till you take it. And then, or completely scrapping it and going, okay, this isn't working, so now we need to change the type of herbs that we're implementing in your body because you're not seeing the results. And what's really great is there's not really going to be side effects except the fact that you're not feeling it, but it's also the concept of educating. I do a lot of education about how the body works, how different herbs affect the body, and why we're using it in their program. Different types of foods to be eaten with their herbal medicine to increase vitamin and mineral absorption. And also just overall telling people and educating people this is not a quick fix. Living a long, healthy life is just that. It's long. So changes don't happen overnight. It has to be sustainable and consistent.
I love that you say that change, that herbal medicine, it won't change the issue overnight, but it has to do with consistency, and using it for over a long period of time, not for only 1 or 2 days. Just like people take tablets. You don't take a tablet on Sunday and that's it. You have to take it every day, what the doctor would give you to feel the benefits. So
Exactly.
it's the same for herbal medicine, and it's the same for therapy. People come to sessions, which is very interesting, and it's as if they went to the church, to Sunday church, and that's it. But if you do that for healing, nothing will happen. You have, after the therapy session, to continue to work on yourself. And even when you go to church, the Sunday one is just to meet everybody and to pray together. But when you do your prayer every day, when you do your inner work every day, that's where the change will happen. It so that's what I want people to understand. Therapy is great, going to a session, but what your therapist will give you, like you give your clients the medicine, they need to take it regularly. They need to do the homework behind the scene. That's where the magic happens, because everybody is their own healer.
And that's, I always giggle at that because if some of my clients aren't following. Now, what I do is I have different levels of my consultations. So I call it my advanced. So
Mhm.
you get a long-term program. I literally give you a lifetime's worth of changes. And then the herbal medicine is just added into it to meet the primary, secondary needs. But I always ask them, okay, what have you done based on the list that's supposed to be like a checklist that you slowly begin to implement over time? I always catch them in their little white lies of going, well, this is why you're not seeing the change because I told you that habitual behavior led to this based on the program I gave you. And I always giggle on that of, again, that's just the human side of things. You're so used to the stagnant comfort. And I always tell people I am very blunt, but I am very much a cheerleader. However, I am still a therapist first. So as your holistic therapist, I will tell you exactly the things you don't want to hear because I'm not doing my job if I allow you to continue going down the path that has led you to why you're coming to see me in the first place. That's to me, that's no different than a doctor brushing off the symptoms. If I brush you off, you're going to continue coming to me with the same issues because I'm not going, hey, I need you to pay attention to this behavior and this choice you're making because you're not following the program I gave you. You either do it or you don't. That is completely up to you. I am not going to babysit you. This is your life. I am just your helper. I'm your little fairy in the background. Um, it's empowering them to know that they have the strength to make this change. They, that they didn't need me. They just wanted help from me. Because that's a big thing is teaching people, you don't need me for these changes. You want me because you are the one that wants the change.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Cara. That's really beautifully said. Yes. we as individual, we need to take responsibility of our life and make the change happen, because the therapist, the doctor, they can give you the medicine, and but it's up to the person to decide whether to swallow it or not. Yeah. And I would like to ask you with regard to any of the herbs or practices, are there any of these herbs or that you find especially powerful or versatile across multiple conditions?
A lot of other herbalists would probably say so, but I find all of my clients different because everybody's needs are different. Maybe from a tactile, like again, the respiratory salts are pretty linear across the board of, they do their job because you're adding herbs such and essential oils such as lemongrass, lemon, eucalyptus, tea tree to really clear out um, through the olfactory receptors. But when it comes to internal medicine, everybody is different. And I would not want to put one herb for any condition as higher than the other because everybody's needs and bodies respond differently. Um, the only herb I could think of in my terms of me and my experiences is I switched to an Egyptian chamomile. And this is the closest thing that I've taken to have prophetic dreaming, like scary amounts of dreaming, because I don't normally dream. I have a watch that tells me I'm lucky if I get an hour of REM. When I take that, I'm constantly fluctuating hour and a half to 2 hours of REM. And when I do recommend it to people before valerian root, they have also noticed that this very particular type of chamomile, because of where it's cultivated from, which if you think on a spiritual level, Egypt, so Egyptian chamomile, it's they have also reported back you weren't joking that this feels similar to taking a Delta 8. And it floored me because I'm thinking I'm sensitive, so I think I'm maybe a little crazy of how I felt about it. But I've had people come off THC or CBD because they couldn't afford it anymore. And they've had the exact same reports of it keeps me asleep and I stay asleep and I dream a lot.
Wow. I didn't know that the Egyptian chamomile is so powerful, but I believe oh, it is the Egyptian who discovered the herbal medicine, you know? So I am not surprised when you said that, because they knew the power of herbal medicine, how to use it to heal different ailments. So yeah, I do believe that they knew a lot more than what we were told about that. They had so much wisdom in their culture that is hidden about healing, because they have these different healing pools as well, you know. So they were super advanced in
And
those
that's the
healing
thing.
modalities.
I think people forget because of the time and the age that we're in of
Mm,
modern medicine would not exist without these spiritual and herbal medicinal facilitators that came before
yes.
and like your Advil, your Oxy, like a lot of your pain meds came from isolating a specific component in herbs to create it, to create this more potent synthetic style. Without the science of herbs, we would not have these collective advancements, for better or for worse, depending who you're talking to.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree, because a lot of medication, they'll use certain specific herbs, but they isolate it and they use it. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, yes, 100%. Western medicine is based on on herbal medicine. Yeah, but they put other compound, other molecule, other synthetic material ingredients in it as well. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, because I've never had anybody talking about the power of herbal medicine. So I'm so glad it's you talking about that, Cara. Yes. And shifting to another thing, now that you are smiling every day in your life, you got rid of the depression and the suicidal ideation, what do you do to keep yourself uplifted, Cara? What routine do you have?
Oh, for me lately, it's just finding more ways to connect. Um, my business is very much word of mouth, so I honestly love doing expos and in-person events, even craft events, to meet people in the community because of just the shared experiences, even if it's like, even if I'm just talking to them and they don't buy anything or they don't need anything, I don't care about that. It's the rapport of letting people know that there's someone that cares, even to just listen and to share stories. Because that's the thing is, a lot of people don't feel safe sharing their stories anymore, especially after the traumas of COVID and how the changes have been made behind closed doors at appointments and all such things, as I'll touch on lightly. um, but it's just meeting people more, meeting the community, and realizing that the world is not as bad as we see on our phones all the time. It's keeping yourself in that element of the moment so you don't lose that grounding of who you are. And it's also just experiencing more. I've spent so much time working and schooling and worrying about finances. And this year, I've already gone to more concerts with my best friends than I ever thought I would, just to live because I wasted too much time in that depressive state. And I'm trying to catch up. And every time I'm in those moments, there is such an overwhelming sense of gratitude that I'm crying from happiness and not from sadness anymore. And it makes me crave more. It makes me crave being around more people and having these experiences and talking and just, again, just being, just living in the moment.
Thank you for sharing that. That is so important, to be in the now. Yes. And to enjoy every moment of every day, like you are doing. Thank you for sharing that. That's very, very powerful in itself. And my other question to you, Cara, we are coming close to the end, is how can people stay updated or get in touch with you?
Very easy. So anyone who would like to reach out, um, as long as you know my business name, you will find me somewhere in the atmosphere. You can find me on Facebook at Green, again, the color, Green Enchantments LLC. I am on Instagram at green_enchantments. And you can also directly message me through my main website, which is www.greenenchantments.com. So very easy, not to confuse you guys. As long as you know the name, you will find me somewhere.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing your links, and it will appear below as well. And just before closing, is there any final message that you would like to share to the audience today, Cara?
My final message would again be tying back into having a mantra and a facilitator of telling yourself that you do not grow from comfort. Do the things that make you uncomfortable because you never know where it's going to lead you to. If I stayed in my comfort, I would not be here right now talking to you guys about my business. So do even the smallest of things. Just do the thing that makes you uncomfortable, because you will feel like you're on cloud 9 when you finally just take the leap.
Thank you for sharing that, Cara. Cara, thank you for your time today. Thank you for your wisdom. It's been wonderful having this conversation with you. And I would like to wish you a lot of success moving forward. And I am also saying huge thank you to the audience today for watching, sharing, listening, and subscribing. Remember that you are amazing. You have always been amazing, and you always will be amazing. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon for another episode. Bye-bye.